Hello and welcome to GT4 Championship Season 3, Round 3, here again for the second week in a row, live from Italy, though we are at a very different racetrack in Misano. It's going to be a night race, or a pair of night races, should I say, and of course a very different voice coming at you here tonight. Filling in for Ryan Mawson is me, Jesse Lee, the most overworked person in RCI, apparently. And I am here with Christian Stricker. I joke, of course, Christian, back again, round 3, a couple of races under the lights, very technical track. It's going to be a very difficult race.
Yeah, for sure. GT4s are really fun to drive around Misano. I remember with the day the GT4s launched, those were the tracks, like Misano and Hungaroring were the two tracks I tried and had an absolute blast at Misano. So it's going to be really fun to see how the racing is compared to GT3s at least, because you can actually overtake with GT4s on this track. So that's going to be really good to see. And yeah, second race in Italy, followed right after Monza, so the teams haven't flown anywhere, apart from maybe taking a truck a little bit more south in Italy, and here we are in Misano. So a night race to change things up a little bit as well, which is always fun to see. It makes the scenery very beautiful, so it's nice and cinematic to admire as well.
Yes, indeed. And we could not forget our broadcaster for the series, as always, Mr. Mike Jones. Not only is he dropping albums, he is dropping the stream for today, of course. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of rounds here. I don't know just how dominant certain manufacturers are going to be, though it is a bit more balanced in GT4. But let's go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Thiago Lima has absolutely dominated Pro.
Yeah, he's had 4 wins in 4 races, so there's not really much else to say to that apart from huge domination. And his teammate is not here today, so he's going to have to try and carry the team today, even though I believe the team is still leading the championship because of his 4 wins. But this could be a good chance for other people to try and take some points off, especially if Thiago Lima has a bad race. Silver Championship looking a little bit closer as well, so that's also going to be really interesting to watch how the points are going to give each driver a good chance to try and maybe get the podium spots or lead the championship into the next race.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see how qualifying works out, considering Lima has been sat in the pit lane for the entire practice session. Now, one thing I don't know, because I'm not usually here, Christian, and maybe you'll be able to fill me in on that. Is that normal for Thiago to do that?
I wouldn't say it is. I've always seen him in practice sessions, but I think last time around in Monza, he was about P20 in the practice session, and we didn't really expect him to be at the top, and then he just goes and puts the car on pole with I don't know, half a second gap to the rest of the field. So he's probably already done his practice, and he's just sitting there being a little bit silent shark, I guess you could say, and giving the drivers some false hope, and he could very potentially take pole position again.
Well, here's how qualifying works. First of all, the championship split into 2 categories. The stream split here at RCI TV are the top 2. It is Pro and High Silver. You can tell them apart by the number square behind or beside their name. And they all go out at the same time. A short 10-minute sprint session here, as everybody will be looking to lay down the quickest time. They will not be grouped together. So, for instance, if a silver does beat a pro, well, they get to start in the overall position that they qualified. It's a tight track, tight confines, and a lot of cars, and it's going to be very difficult to find space as everybody peels out, not wanting or can even ill afford to not go out immediately and try and set a lap. This, of course, the rear diffuser cam of Thiago Lima for Phoenix Racing Portugal. You already heard Christian mention that their teammate is not here today, so that will not help them with the teams. But, well, Thiago Lima, to be fair, has been a one-man band for the championship thus far. Well, laps coming in. 1 qualifying session of 10 minutes for all the teams and 2 races, a 20-minute sprint, and then a 40-minute main. Double points for the 40-minute race in comparison to the 20-minute race, but still 2 opportunities to win. And Christian, you can't tell me that winning the sprint race feels any less good as opposed to winning the long one.
Yeah, winning is winning at the end of the day. So the sprint race, even though it gives less points, is still really fun to win in, and it's going to be good to bring that happy momentum, I guess you can call it, onto the next race, as it's a good confidence boost, and confidence always means faster times generally. So I think if Lima wins again, he's going to be riding a high horse of ego and just blasting through the field, rightly so, because he is shown he has mega pace throughout the whole season so far. But also, maybe anything can happen, and if someone else takes the win, let's say from like P5 or something, that would really boost their happiness as well, and take them to try and go in further in the full feature race to get a double win.
Well, we will show you the points in between the end of qualifying and right before the race starts, and you will see the level of damage that the man driving the 101 has been able to do thus far, and it is absolutely vast. But that is not an insurmountable lead. You can't take your foot off the proverbial gas. You have to stay in it. You have to continue to perform. And what will we expect from Thiago Lima here in their first lap? This will be the opening shot. Of course, there's one car in front. That's the 20, but that was a nasty moment there, and that is going to invalidate that lap for the championship leader, and that will not count as they will have to go around again. That means Triple R's Tom Bryant's going to be the first to set a lap, but no, that was invalidated too. Verona is the first to set a lap, a 1:43.767, immediately beat by Rubliar, who's now down to second, and Boardman in the 69 Camaro with a 42.246. Harwood now slotting into third in the Alpine. Christian, a lot of invalidated laps, and that might set the tone for the day.
Yeah, Misano is notorious to be one of those tracks where it's very easy to go over the track limits, and also one of those tracks where it's quite easy to get a drive-through as well if you're not careful during the race. So I think this is already showing here in qualifying. And yeah, we have currently Beecher with a 42 flat. Pretty fast time, to be honest. I think maybe we could see some 41s, but I doubt we'll see many of them considering the times in practice session. But also here I've just heard from Mike Jones that Lima is well into a 41 lap time here. So scratch that, Lima showing yet again what he can do. If he just keeps this car on the track within the track limits, he will probably take the provisional pole position, and he's only got the final few corners to go now. It's quite a difficult section, this one. This is quite easy to extend the track limits, and especially here in this little hairpin, try and go as wide as possible to get the best run to the right-hander, and then you go as wide as possible again. You can take that flat in a GT3. I'm not sure in a GT4, but here, last left-hander to go over the curbs. Very close to being invalidated there, but it seems like he's got the job done, and he gets a pole position with a 41.4. Wow.
Well, that was absolutely dominant over Beecher in the 46 Aston. And just a moment ago, Amir Thacker was the leader in high silver until Poma went ahead and took that from him in the 404. It's a BMW battle between those two. Just barely did the 404 take it from the 51, but now Olaf Lefay has taken over pole in silver in the 308 Alpine, going well. That little car, I was always wondering when the Alpine would come good, and well, as it turns out, makes perfect sense on a tight track where horsepower is not king. Well, there you have it. Provisional pole for the moment for Lefay. As all the times now coming in, Martin Lawrence, Connection Loss Racing in the 171, trying to boost his position in the middle of the field here. Not where you want to start as a pro driver.
No, but he seems to be having a little bit more pace on this lap. He's give or take a second and a half up on his lap time. So let's see if he's able to, how far he's able to jump. This actually might be able to challenge for pole position here. Let's see, he's coming towards the line now with that BMW power. He's crossing the line, and I think he invalidated it. So that is very unfortunate indeed. He was 1.6 seconds up on his time when I last checked. So he definitely has the pace to be up there for sure.
Where Rubliar has improved upon their time, only half of a second off of Lima's time of a 41.391. But what an incredible time by Lima, continuing the dominance. What makes a driver quite that dominant?
It's hard to say. I guess it's the amount of practice he puts in. Also, these GT4 cars are very different to drive to other cars. Now, I'm assuming a lot of the drivers here, they usually drive GT3 and they thought, oh, GT4, that sounds fun, let's try it. Maybe Lima, his preferred car is a GT4, so maybe he just has more knowledge over how the car reacts in general and how far he can push it. So that's definitely one of the factors. And also, very talented driver indeed. I mean, last season, I believe it was his teammate Nito who won the championship. So Phoenix Racing from Portugal got two very strong drivers right there.
Well, I was just wondering who let Billy Octane in the top 5, but Svinček slots in and stays 6th place there with perhaps a little bit of a toe. But just as I say that, Carrera moves them out of the way, figuratively, obviously. And here comes Amir back across the line. This is looking like this is going to be a very meaty lap. It is. It's going to be provisional pole for Amir Thacker in the 51 BMW, the Sai 2 team, getting it done here in qualifying. They had such a great run last time out, and they posted, I think it was 5th and a 6th place last week, and that maybe gave them the shot in the arm to get this position, or to perhaps come out here and perform. I know I was in their stream right before it started, or right before our stream started. They were working on their tire pressures for qualifying, and he seemed a bit not confused, but he seemed unsure how the car was going to perform. Well, it's performing on pole at least right now. Meanwhile, Bishir getting just a bit closer to our pole sitter Lima, about 4.5 tenths off of the overall pace. And Lima has since improved to a 41.310 and has brought the car to pit lane. Thiago Lima will take no further part of qualifying. Martin Lawrence looking like he's going to improve, Christian.
Yeah, I was just going to say the confidence of Lima to just return to pits and sit there with a minute to spare is I respect that for sure. It sort of shows as well the closest driver is 4 tenths off. Yeah, we're here riding on board Martin Lawrence. He showed potential to maybe knock Lima off that provisional pole spot, but it doesn't seem like he's quite able to extract the lap time right now. He's seems to be about 2 tenths up though, so it should be able to jump him 1 or 2 positions maybe if he can just maintain his pace in this last sector. Seems like he lost a little bit of time there in the hairpin. It has 1 more corner to go, cutting the corner short. Yeah, it's a very good job. It goes very wide, but I don't think he invalidates. So we'll have to see what happens when he crosses the line if he does jump up, and he does. So he goes up to P8, and that is his qualifying run over. Yeah, so that's a good solid performance from Martin Lawrence there. But Lima looking to be the pole position yet again.
Just noticed there were cars littered all over the track, causing local yellow flags as they either invalidated their lap or abandoned their lap. Alexander Borodai trying to improve, leading currently in the high silver class. An excellent lap there, puts them in front of the 51 BMW, at least for now. And of course, Thacker in the pit lane, so they will take no further part in the session. The nearest one close, of course, is Franken, and of course, Shilgren here also trying to improve upon their time. Of course, this is the championship leader in high silver.
Yeah, he's had a very solid performance all around, to be honest. He's always been up there, sometimes fighting with the pro drivers as well. And there I think he invalidated or something, and he just decided to go off the track and finish his run as it is. That was very close, and I saw a new name pop up on the board real quick, George Rosu, who I just want to quickly do a shout out. He was my teammate last season in the league that I run, so it's nice to see a familiar face here on this track.
Well, there you have it. Well, folks, we promised you after qualifying we'd take a look at the championship points, and here they are. Oh, well, they will be ready in just a moment. That was an interesting qualifying. The absolute confidence of Thiago Lima, Christian, to go ahead and park it with a minute to go and be comfortable. That is ultimately what you're going for. That confidence of like, nah, nobody's going to beat this.
Yeah, that is You gotta respect that as a driver, but that's also the mentality you need to have to win championships. I mean, Michael Schumacher, he never thought of himself as doing anything wrong ever, and he was just so in his own head that he was able to just extract performance week in out week week in and week out. And this is just the mindset you need to be a champion. You got to think about yourself and yourself only. You can't be thinking about, oh, maybe he's going to overtake me at this point. No, you have to just be right. I got this. I got the lap time. Let's do this.
Well, here are the championship points in Pro. Thiago Lima has just the biggest lead over Martin Lawrence than as you would expect, 398 to 270. And then it gets a bit closer. Andre Bichard behind them with 231. Baragazzi or Barzaghi, excuse me, in fourth place. Billy Octane, Nito, Svinchek, Boardman, Harwood, and McLaughlin, the top 10 currently. Very close the further you get back in the top 10. Of course, in this, very close indeed between Rubliar, Pimlott, Ertan, Harsvord, Banfield, Coria, Roth, Vanderneet, Lennard, and Apostle.
Yeah, now we have the Silver Championship, a bit closer here. Not so much of a lead for Joachim Shelgren. And then we have Aaron Jackson, followed closely by Sam Butters, Olaf Leff, and Alex Poma. They're all very tightly together. And then we have Amir Thacker, also known as Cyanide, who is only 4 points behind Poma, so very close indeed there as well. Followed by Rob Franken, Nicholas Grabau, Joe Dauber, Tom Bryant. Let's see, that's the top 10 of Silver class. And then we have the rest of the field with Andre Verona in his Audi with 151 points, followed closely by Phil Roberts, Adam Huford-Smith, Luke Wigg, Alexander Bourdais, Gabriel Remizewski, sorry if I mispronounced that, Joe Gleason, Christian Taylor, Christian Campreger, and Rars Laurentio Oprea. I'm very sorry if I butcher any names, by the way. And we have 73 points here for Tala Pirzada, Willy Poppe, my old teammate George Rozu. Nice to see him here as well. Alan Asbury, Ryan Gill, Thomas Jelnik, Steve Hughes, Gabriel Rodriguez, and Truls Solberg.
Well, there you have it. That's how the championship shakes out. And we promised you that Thiago Lima had a big points gap. But for everybody else behind them, it is a very interesting fight in Pro. But Silver, like you saw there, Christian, very close between all of those teams. Nobody in Silver has been able to break away. It's been very exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I think Silver is usually the class that does that because there's a lot of drivers. They learn as the season goes, so maybe they don't have the greatest start, but then let's say the last 3 rounds or 3 races, they have immense performance and they manage to catch up to the guys ahead. And you love to see that in Silver because they are amazing drivers. They're just a little bit behind on pace compared to the pros, even though they are really good drivers. And honestly, oftentimes you see Silver drivers which could potentially compete in Pro as well.
Well, as we get ready to go for race number 1, just a reminder of the rules. No pit stops in the first race. It is a 20-minute dash for the finish. And of course, Misano, very difficult track, could be very close between all of the teams. And it could be a lot of, and we hope obviously that this doesn't happen, but one of the issues with having a sprint race at Misano is it often leads to fender benders.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think generally sprint racing of any sort it does have quite a few fender benders in it. As we saw last time in Monza, it was actually fairly clean, to be honest. It was a Spa where it was a bit chaotic. But these drivers are learning as they go. They know to keep it clean. It costs their team and themselves quite a lot of money every time they crash. So I'm pretty sure they're going to try and keep this as clean as possible.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and disagree. I think I think there's going to be some by the time they hit turn 3, there's going to be some bent fenders and bent feelings, and there's going to be some harsh words that even though perhaps safely spoken into thin air, they will be spoken. I just don't think you can fit. I don't know how many cars we have. There's more than 28, obviously, but some 30 some cars here. There's no way that they get around clean. And I'll bet everybody at home if they make it one lap without a local yellow at one of the turns, I'll probably shave my head, I think.
Well, you heard it here first. Is Jesse Lee going to shave his head, or is he not? We'll find out very shortly. But
I need you to understand, they're on the parallel straight. All right, they're 5 turns in and they're still coming off of pit lane. That's absolutely insane. That works at Spa, but I'm not sure how good this is going to be. I think in the 40-minute race they'll be a bit more patient. In this 20-minute race, it's going to be absolute madness, and I love it.
Yeah, it's the beauty of having these short sprint races, indeed, and that's also why I love this format with a 20-minute race and then a 40-minute feature race, because it just brings out 2 different driving styles in the drivers, and you have to be able to adapt to both of them. Maybe a little bit more elbows out in the first one, and then a bit more relaxed in the second one, and that's how you win the whole championship. It really pushes the drivers to their limits, and it's great to watch.
Well, earlier when we came on air, I made a mention. I accidentally said that I was overworked here at RCI. That's not what I meant. What I meant is I'm overused. And I do apologize for some of you that watch all of the RCI broadcasts. I know some of you do. Well, you've heard my voice all week, and I have bad news for you. I'm here tomorrow and the next day as well. So I do very much apologize for that. Not overworked, because this is fun, but overused. And it is nice, though, Christian, to get to call more races with you. And I hope Ryan Mawson's sort of work time that he's having to do, I hope that's going well. And in the meantime, I'm here with Mr. Mike Jones on the broadcast and Mr. Christian Stricker in the booth. What a fantastic way to spend a Thursday afternoon as they round the final few corners. Everybody strap in. This is going to be a very, very tight start.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this start, and I'm gonna go ahead and say there'll be no yellow flags, but I think most people would tend to agree with you. But I'm just hopeful.
Will you shave your head if there is a yellow?
Nah.
All right then.
I'm not that confident.
The 929 is starting from the pit lane as they come down the front straightaway, getting ready to go green here. Everybody's going to pile off into turn 1, but 2 by 2, as far as the eye can see and that it can render, as the green flag goes down and the lights go green, we are racing here for race 1 at Misano.
Yeah, and a great launch there from Lima. You also saw, I believe that was Peacher in the background, getting almost jumped by Boardman here, and he does get jumped in the corners. No yellow flags yet, so that's always exciting to see. But there's a lot of people going too wide, so that's a classic Misano. A few people off the track there in the background, and there is yellows, so you get to keep your head. Or sorry, you get to keep your head.
Involved. 202 and the 17 are the big losers in that. I'm not exactly what happened to them, but they both were sitting backwards at the exit of turn 2. I'm afraid to have to report the 17 only just now getting going. The 929 is leaving the pit lane, and I almost wonder if the 929 starting for pit lane was on purpose, because they have at least not made it in the melee, but I'm actually thinking now that it isn't. Going very slowly indeed was the 929 as contact right there between a couple of the front runners. That's the 69. Is that Boardman?
I believe it was
Billy
actually,
Octane.
Yeah, Billy Octane. And the Aston Martin there of Carrera in the background, who you see just managed to get back onto the track. So not the greatest start for Billy Octane here. I mean, he moves up a position, but I'm sure he'll get a little bit of a slap on the hands from the stewards there. But it happens. It's lap 1. And that is our second yellow flag of the race, and we're not past lap 1 yet, so you well and truly get to keep your hair for this race at least.
Well, I actually made that bet knowing that I very well need a haircut, so we'll come back next week, folks, and see if that pans out a little bit better. But either way, no live stewarding, of course, for the Thursday GT4 races. All stewarding is done post-race throughout the weekend, or actually Thursday night and Friday mostly, but you get the point. No live stewarding, everything handled. And of course that race 1 at Spa, that was very, very close indeed. Well, that led to some of the teams and drivers getting heavily penalized. Not so much after Monza last week. I think most people ended up but just fine. But perhaps some more steward decisions incoming for some of the moves early. The 17, who you can only assume was heavily damaged down the pit lane now, getting service and attention to that car. Diego Lima leads overall. Alexander Borodai is out in front in high silver in the 98. And of course, the fight for second in class. Amir Thacker has gotten around Olaf Lefay, and they are now duking it out for second. Brilliant driving.
Yeah, and it's Alpine versus BMW battles on the straights. Amir Thacker is just gonna fly off into the distance while the Alpine has to just sit behind. And actually, it looks like Svenček might be able to do a move up the inside here. Obviously, these are not for positions in class, but he does get up the inside. It goes a little bit wide, Olaf Left does, but Svenček gets the move done, and that is just what Amir Thacker wants to see, as he now has a car in between him and his class rival, so he can relax a little bit more now, as he's sitting there happily in P2.
I think Leffa did that sort of halfway on purpose, hoping that Svenček gets up there and gets by Thacker and slows him down. Now, folks, we might have an incident replay of the start of the race. Well, here is Chris Rubliar, and we suspect there's going to be contact. Oh, yes, a massive punt there. That almost didn't look natural, and, of course, the field coming by, and it's absolute collateral.
Yeah, that is just the nature of Misano. If you do have a spin, turn 1, 2, or 3, the whole field just has nowhere to go, and that's super unfortunate there from Rubiliazi. The same thing happened in Monza. He was doing really well, and then he crashes out lap 1. Although Monza was his own fault as he spun in the wet, really tricky wet conditions, but this time around he gets taken out, and that is very unfortunate indeed. Currently riding with George Rosu. That's nice to see. He's up to P5, I believe. He started at P7 in class, so he's riding the number 26 there on that BMW, trying to make his way up to Joachim Schellgreen, who is P4 in class. Now we're having a look at this battle with Beecher and Boardman, as those two have been glued to each other since the start of the race.
Is it Beecher or Bashir?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Do we? I was going to say, did we have confirmation on Andre's? Andre, if you watch this broadcast back, DM one of us, DM Christian, Mike Jones, or myself, Jesse Lee. Let us know how it's actually pronounced. We're just sort of guessing as we always do. You know what I'm interested in? How did Borodai get into the lead in silver? He must have had a fantastic start and avoided the 17 and all of that to some great effect, because he is several seconds now, out in front of the 51 of Thacker, and I could only assume that had something to do with that incident with the 17 that stacked people up.
Yeah, he must have had a brilliant start and just kept the lead, and then also with all the cars trying to avoid each other, he must have just found the perfect spot and slid his way through up to P7 overall. So he has a few pro drivers around him now, which is just what he needs, to be honest, as these guys will race each other hard, but not as hard, since it's not really for position in class. So that buffer as well to Amir Thacker is just what he needs. So yeah, Bourdais doing great there, and we're jumping back to Beecher and the number 46 Aston Martin. I've just noticed that Aston Martin is running a similar color scheme to Rossi, Valentino Rossi, the MotoGP rider, who's also from Italy, and he's running the same number as well. I don't know if that's maybe he's a fan of Valentino Rossi.
Oh, that is very well spotted. I didn't really draw that comparison, but you're very right, isn't it? I wonder if that is a nod to the possibly the greatest MotoGP rider of all time there. But Gofflin here making headway, trying to battle and get around, trying to get around the Alpine of Harwood. Oh, he just got around Alexander Borodai now and trying to gain position. Everybody here very close still. As we go back to Bishir, who is trying to get by Boardman, very close racing. The big Camaro versus the Aston, and a great race down into turn 1, goes all the way to pit wall, and now trying to turn down in under Boardman is the 46. But, the grunt of that Camaro just keeping him in front.
Yeah, and I think we say this every week. but all very close there on the brakes indeed. But yeah, no replacement for the displacement, and I think it's showing again as that Camaro seems to be getting pretty good exits as well. But yeah, Bishir, I'll pronounce it this way now. Just sticking to him and just pushing him through the corners almost, and it seems like it's a matter of when Boardman will crack rather than if. But anything can happen. There's still only 12 minutes to go in this race. We're almost halfway through already, so it's going to be exciting battle to watch to the end. Here we have Svenček behind Emir Thacker, who's, I think Thacker now only has one car in between him and Borde, so he's closing up to the leader in silver class, doing a great job so far. And Svenček just chilling behind Thacker for now, hoping maybe he can create a gap to Harzeford in front of him.
Where is this pace coming from Thacker? He seems so unsure about his setup and his qualifying pace and all of that earlier, and all of a sudden he's running second in his class, was really close to taking pole, and of course is in front of Shelgren, who he was fighting for that honor, and now making excellent time. Meanwhile, back further in the pack, well, this is where the action is at, isn't it? Rob Franken in the 202, who was a big one of if not the biggest loser in that incident earlier, the 17. He got into them heavily and was next to last. Well, he is trying to make their way back up through the field, and doing so, taking a lot of risks, going all the way out to the outside of the corners to try and actually going to overrun this corner quite a bit, but position still surrendered from Jackson there, at least for the time being. Very scrappy racing back here, Christian.
Yeah, that was a very ballsy way to go into the corners for sure, and I think that's just the nature of GT4s in this track. And also we saw him go quite off track, which brings us perfectly into the next segment. Svenček already has a drive-through, and we've only been 10 minutes into the race, which just goes to show how easily you can invalidate your lap time or go over the track limits in this track. So he's gonna drop down very far down the grid, as he either has to serve this within 1 or 2 laps now, or he gets a massive penalty and risks a disqualification. So that's very unfortunate for him. But here we have Beecher moving up behind Boardman. Is he able to do anything around the outside in these corners? Not really where you want to overtake, as it's very sketchy indeed. But he sort of sticks behind, not really able to do anything on the braking. Gets a little bit sideways, catches the car, but is okay for now to fight again with Boardman. Wow.
That's very close racing indeed right there. I gotta say, I thought the Aston was going around, but well held. And the only thing lost there was a little bit of grip and an ever so slight amount of time. But going back to Yara Svenček there in the 107, of course, they were trying to come through the top half of the silver field. And then very quickly in 10 minutes time, used up all 3 of their track limits warnings, and now has a drive-through. Of course, no live stewarding equals no live penalties. The only penalties assessed are ones by ACC. So track limits coming into play here, and that will drop them well down the order, and I'm afraid that there just isn't enough time in this short sprint for them to recover a whole lot, but that will not deter Svenček from trying. Here is Alexander Borodai and the 98 in between McLaughlin and Harzeford here. And if you look in the background, that is Amir Thacker coming for that lead in the high silver class.
Yeah, he's just chilling there in second place. He's got a 4-second gap to the guys behind, so now he can worry about what's in front. But that's someone else who needs to worry about someone in front of him is Beecher right now, as he's trying to get past the Camaro on the exit again, but he has to slot in behind yet again, probably going to not get the car sideways this time around. He'll know what to do, as a little bit later on the brakes, gets very close to that bump, riding each other. There's millimeters in between that. Really close racing indeed, as you can do in these GT4s. Trying to do a cutback maneuver, gets pushed out a little bit out on the track, but obviously that's fine. Up the inside of this penultimate turn. Is he able to do the move into the last corner? He's not able to do it, as Boardman is later on the brakes, but that also means Boardman gets a poor run on the exit. Beecher side by side. Who is going to brake first into turn 1 and who is going to get out ahead? We'll have to see. Riding on board with Boardman, It seems like Beecher has gotten the whole shot and has made the move stick. What an amazing move by Beecher, but it's not all over yet. As Boardman's trying around the outside,
no!
and the contact and Beecher is into the wall. That is super unfortunate.
Oh dear, we're going to look at that on the replay here. Beecher trying to get the move done and then finds themselves on the receiving end of a turn 3 takedown hard into the wall, entering in the middle of turn 3. And that is not what you wanted to see, and that's not what Boardman wanted to do to Beecher, but that is the reality of what happened there. Oh man, we were riding on board with them there. I feel like that was avoidable personally.
Yeah, it just sort of seems like both of them were trying to cut each other off, and they both sort of went into one line that that never fits two cars. And I can't really tell what's happening now. We'll leave that to the stewards, but there's not really any driver to pinpoint the blame on there, I think. But that's promoted Billy Octane to P3. Boardman obviously having a bit of issues fighting. They're losing a bit of time, and now there's a three-way fight for the P2 position.
A lot of Chevrolets up here fighting for the P2 position, and don't count out or forget Martin Lawrence here in the 171, all together fighting for second place. Look at this, Martin Lawrence looking to go up the inside. It will become the outside, but if he can cross over here, he might have a shot on Billy Octane. He fakes left. He goes to the outside on the final turn. Late on the brakes, trying to stay side by side. You just can't do it in a tight corner like that. And look at this. Look at this. Harwood in the 507 now is up into this fight, looking to make a move into turn 1 on Martin Lawrence. Everybody together from second to fifth.
Yeah, and then we just have Thiago Lima out 8 seconds in front. He is missing out, I would say. This is an absolutely amazing battle we've going on here. As Billy Octane runs really wide, that's going to be a track 1. He's going to have to be careful with those. Under braking, you just see how strong that BMW and Alpine are. He has to be careful, Billy Octane, in his rear view mirrors, as they could just come in on them whenever. But here we have the Alpine of Hardwood. Well, let's see what he can do, as he will suffer a little bit on the straights, but in the corners, his car is just a monster.
Yeah, Benoit Harwood here trying to formulate a plan. You were several seconds back, and now you're up here fighting for a podium position. What do you do? What do you do? Well, first of all, you stay calm, man. And then after that, it's all about getting your mind right. You know where your car is better, and you're just going to have to be patient and get the spot. Now, something has happened to Alexander Bourdais in the 98. Amir Thacker leading now. And I don't think Amir got there in that time. I think there might have been, and I fear that there might have been contact with somebody else. And in fact, I think we are going to have a replay here. Oh no. Oh my goodness.
Those teammates.
Andre Bichir have had contact with his teammate here. They've taken him out and subsequently handed the lead to the man they call, well, he calls himself Cyanide. But Amir Thacker has been gifted the lead. He was on the march anyway, but, well, you'll take it however you can get it. Could be, if he can hold on for another 4.5 minutes, this could be an historic day for Cyanide Plays Games.
Yeah, I'm sure his chat is going absolutely insane right now as he's leading the race. He's only got 4 minutes left to maintain that position, and he has about 1.5 seconds behind to Bourdais. Bourdais also with some damage. And there is a buffer in between of Harseford, so we'll have to see how that battle plays out. Bourdais seem to have the same amount of pace as Thacker, so Thacker just needs to keep this clean and then we're all good. But obviously that's much easier said than done. Here we have Phil Roberts potentially trying to make a move on Grabau, but also getting attacked by Dober at the same time. So this is another battle here for a good spot in this Silver Class Championship.
I love the teal, pink, and dark color. Whatever on that car. I love it. I don't know what it is about that aesthetic, but I'm a big fan of that. I'm not sure who let Phil Roberts into the race, but then again, I'm not sure who let Billy Octane and Tom Bryan in the race as well. If I was Harry Conway, I would have thrown them out immediately.
Well, speaking of Billy Octane, he's been passed by Martin Lawrence. So Martin Lawrence up to P3. Billy Octane now trying to defend from Hardwood right behind him. But just look at that difference in pace compared to the Chevy and the Alpine here. I think we have a replay. Let's see what happens. Okay, never mind. This replay shows that Lawrence is already ahead, so I'm assuming he did that in the hairpin. And Billy Octane is now running P3 and has to do all he can to defend that spot. Sorry, he's down in P4, excuse me, and he has to try everything to try and catch up to Martin Lawrence. even though it looks like Lawrence has a bit more pace than he does currently.
Well. It is all kicking off here late in the race. This, of course, race 1 of 2 for round 3. A 40-minute race coming up immediately following this with double the points of this race. But a race victory will ever be so sweet. And for Thiago Lima, it's looking like a perfect 5 for 5 to start season 3 in the RCI GT4 championship, and absolutely dominant. I don't know what else we can say. We can use every adjective in the dictionary, and it will not be enough to describe how dominant Thiago Lima has been. Just an excellent job, and you have to give him the plaudits for winning like this, for winning as much as he is and being as dominant, nearly a 10-second lead. And it probably will be a 10-second lead over Boardman by the end of the race.
Yeah, this is sorry, go on.
This battle here continues.
Yeah, Lima just in a world of his own at the moment. Our 10-second gap in 20-minute race is absolutely insane. That's a half a second each minute. And that is pace you don't really see anywhere else. It really shows how dominant Lima is. But anyways, here we are with Hardwood. Falling a little bit behind of Billy Octane now, as Octane seems to catch up to Lawrence a little bit as well. So this battle's not over yet. We have Flores Harseford here on... Is that Borday? So Borday's actually managed to get past Harseford here. Oh, a little bit slidey on exit there. It's gonna... No, they all keep... No, there is contact!
Oh, no!
And I think that is the teammate of... Borday there in the background. Bishia, both of them come together yet again. That is so unfortunate for this silver class driver.
Well, that wasn't their fault on this occasion. I believe there's going to be a tap that's going to cause them to come into contact. Yes, indeed. Oh, dear. And perhaps a little bit of netcode going on there as well, as they become fused together, as if not unlike something akin to a zombie film. But then they rebound out of each other, but it just hasn't been their day. Billy Octane back up to, in the 4th position. Martin Lawrence will round out the podium in 3rd. Boardman has had a very pretty solid race, but also the second half of it has been sort of by himself there after Octane fell off the back of him. Harwood now still, though, in pursuit of Octane. And look there, that is McLaughlin in the background in the Aston who's caught this group. Something else, of course, like you said, has happened. Thacker, who was just in front of that melee a moment ago, has been given a reprieve because that slowed down Bishir and Borodai. So that is going to be, coming to the line, a easy win for Amir Thacker. I mean, what could you say? Had the plan, stayed out of trouble, and won. And Mike Jones in my ear saying, speaking of easy wins, boys, girls, people of all types, witness Thiago Lima going 5 for 5 in season 3. He's going to win race 1 here at Misano.
Absolutely dominating performance, and we have it's not over yet. This is a battle here with Hardwood and Octane. Octane going a little bit deep, and we have Lachlan back there flashing lights, but they're all going to cross the line in their respective positions. There was a very close drag race indeed, and I believe we have Olaf left here trying to make a move on Puama. Is not able to do anything in the corners, so has to accept the P5 in class, and that's absolutely amazing finish for Amir Thacker as well, winning the silver class race today, and now he has to go into the full feature race, and I'm thinking he is absolutely jumping with joy currently.
I can personally confirm that he is jumping for joy. He is so thrilled with that. I think the ones that happen when you don't necessarily expect it are always more special. So first class win for Amir Thacker, and a very deserved celebration. A lot of times as race 1 comes to an end, a lot of times, Christian, we overlook things like that. Getting your first win in a series, in a league, in a championship, it's never more special than the first one. And oftentimes, in a lot of cases, the first one leads to more.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to give him a great endorphin boost into the second race, and he's going to want to do everything again. I wouldn't say it was an easy win for him, as he did have to try and fight with uh, Borday, I believe it was. But obviously, Borday getting caught up in some unfortunate incidents. Some maybe his fault, some not really his fault. And yeah, at the end of the day, in order to finish first, one must finish, and that is what Amir Thacker has done today. And he can celebrate a little bit of amount until he has to do the next race, but I'm sure he still feels absolutely amazing inside that BMW cockpit.
Well, these are the results confirmed from race one. Undoubtedly so. The other elephant in the room that we have to address is the high probability of there being some steward adjudications post race weekend for some of those incidents that we saw inside the top 10, Christian, and rightly so. You can race somebody hard, but you can't use the chrome horn, as it's called in America, or the punt to pass button, as it's called elsewhere. And certainly we saw that on full display there. Not that we didn't expect to see that, but because it has happened, I think it's only right that we mention that it is likely some of the drivers in the top 10 may be losing some spots as well.
Yeah, that is always worth a mention, and yeah, we'll have to see in the coming days what is going to happen with those incidents. But yeah, for now, that is the podium positions provisionally, I guess you can call it. Now we're just looking over the beautiful Misano currently in San Marino, written there in huge letters. And yeah, we're just getting ready for a race.
Ooh, breath. Let's all do it at home. Everybody at home. In and out. Ooh,
Breathing
race one.
exercises.
That was 20 minutes. We are going to double that amount of time, and we are also, because we like these teams and drivers and we appreciate them showing up in droves for the GT4 championship, I say we double the points for race two.
I say that's a good idea as well, as you do our racing double the distance, so it only makes sense, doesn't it?
I like it when math makes sense. So often in racing, math doesn't make sense and you end up frustrated at it, but I like it when it works with me. And twice as many points sounds like a fantastic idea. Well, race number two is going to take place further in tonight. And not that it's going to be too much darker considering how dark it was at 8 p.m. where that first race started. We're going to go ahead and have race two at 9 p.m. And we will see how that plays out. Well, oh, excuse me, it's 11 p.m. I'm just being told. That's right, it's 23. That's right, it was at 22, which would have been 10 p.m. And now race two is at 11 p.m. That is exactly what I was going to say. Go ahead, Mike Jones, and edit that first bit I set out and make it sound like I knew what I was talking about. But either way, 11 p.m., going to do a 40-minute race. The starting order of race two is the same as race number one. Christian Stricker, what are the keys to a better start for race two?
Well, I would say the obvious one is to just take it a little bit easier. We saw someone get hit off. I believe it was number 17 getting hit into turn 2 with someone just forgetting to brake at the right time. As I think Aris Drives has made the most amazing video that I always reference whenever I can and send to any driver who punts me. It's how to drive behind a car, and that is to brake earlier than they will, or you will hit them if you brake later than them. But anyways, that's the theory. These drivers are going to take into the first few corners and hopefully make it clean, and maybe this time around, no yellow flags in the first lap.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely going to happen. But 11 degrees C, the track and the ambient temperature, a little bit of wind, just a light breeze, and barely a cloud in the sky. Not that you can see the sky at 11 p.m. Well, 40 minutes, and this will be the race that you can make up a lot of points in. And certainly after race one, we were given a lot to think about, and so were the teams. And I like that mentality, Christian, that you're talking about the braking earlier, and that's all well and good. But as a driver, you and I both know that works in theory right up until the point where the lights go green and you drive down to turn one and you forget every single thing that you've learned. Looks like ants out there following one another across the circuit. I can assure you, though, they are racing automobiles, GT4s, every single one of them, pro and high silver. Just want to take this moment to thank all of you for being with us here tonight. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday evening. And we invite you to like and subscribe and hit that bell. I'll be back with you on Friday for the continuation of the Friday GT3 World Championships. And Mike Jones will likely be there as well. And of course, on Saturday, do not miss the end of the GT3 Endurance World Championship, the 10 hour of Suzuka, the finale. There will be champions and trophies handed out at the end of that one. So don't want to miss that. And there is a very fantastic race for the championship that all comes down to the final race. Don't miss out on that. And of course, a big thank you to all of our partners here at RCI that support us. Links in the description for all of those fantastic people. Support people that support RCI. And of course, if you want to get involved with ACC Sim Racing, well, you can join us on the Discord. That also in the description. Well, one final tug of the wheel and the belts, Christian, as we get ready for race number 2 for Thiago Lima. Well, no criticism. I think he's going to win a 6th one, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, going off the performance he had last race, yeah, I'm pretty sure he is as well. But then again, we might see someone daring a move up the inside into turn 1. If they get past him, then he has to have a pretty big battle on his hands, but he has 40 minutes to do it. Obviously, no pit stops in this 40-minute race, so it is all happening out on track as all the cars are going into the correct positions, lining up side by side, sort of an IndyCar restart style that I love to see. It's actually, I really enjoy driving like this on the start. Yeah, we are going to, here we see Thacker in P2 currently and Bourdais ahead of him there in P1 in silver class, but we'll see. The lights are about to go green, and Jesse, take us away.
Well, here we go. We're going to follow the high silver battle here to start, and of course we'll break away if anything else occurs. Everybody getting up to speed. The green flag is out and the green lights are on as everybody goes down to the turn 1, as they are 3 wide here going into turn 1, and contact immediately in turn 1. Meanwhile, up front, nearly going 3 wide as well in pro and getting it sorted out 2 by 2. And all of a sudden, a very good race for second place comes into play here. It's going to be Boardman, who may be defending his position, but no, it's not going to be. It is going to be a battle for second, continuing a big block there by the Aston, and all of a sudden they are having to sort it out as more moves, 3 and 4 of them coming in together here. A couple of Astons and a car completely off there. Is that the 107?
I believe
perhaps
that was.
Is that Svinček again?
I don't know. I believe that was actually Bourdais going off the road there in the background.
Was it?
Yeah, so that promotes Thacker to P. Whoa.
Oh no! And there it is, a touch and a spin in one of the hairpins, and a car completely spun around backwards. Is that Grabau? It is Grabau.
Whoa, that was so close to missing the KTM there when he spun the car around, but he managed to survive for now, as they were going 3 wide into that corner. I think someone in the background just getting a little bit too deep, and it was 3 cars going into one racing line. Never works out in the end, and that is chaos at the turn 1 in the hairpin. But I do congratulate all the drivers for basically avoiding that. It's only really I believe that was Grabau getting damage from that, so good job to them. And here we are back onto the battle of Boardman and Beecher. Obviously we saw this last race around, but this time around Beecher is leading.
Well, I'm gonna give a big credit to Nicholas Grabau. You could have easily made a mistake and try to, back up or go forward whenever the field was going by, but doing what you're supposed to do, what you're taught to do, and especially what you're expected to do, just hold the brakes. That is what you're supposed to do. Hold the brakes and wait for people to go through. I know that's a very frustrating feeling, but getting it done there and getting around gets an A for effort there. Juraj Svinček, who I thought went around earlier, that was not Svinček. Of course, Svinček doing just fine in 7th place. It's gone a bit better so far for him than it had been doing. Amir Thacker again leads in high silver over this man, Alexander Bourdais, but it's very hotly contested as Bourdais trying to go around the outside, trying to get all the width of the track to gain every little ounce of speed, and that's important in a GT4.
Yeah, and we see Thacker going a little bit deep there, and that's going to allow Bordet to
Whoa.
get an absolutely amazing exit, basically sniffing the exhaust fumes there. And you see that is the BMW straight line speed in action right there. Bordet is going to have to just tuck in behind for now and trying to force Thacker into a mistake or potentially just make an overtaking move. But I see some yellow flags in the background again, so that is the 404 who's gone around. And he is going back to the pit lane, and I'm sure there must have been a good reason for that, some contact of some sort. But yeah, most drivers getting through cleaning. We obviously saw that contact at the hairpin, but I'd say people are definitely a bit more reserved in this race start than they were in the last one.
A bit more reserved, perhaps, but also the big spin down at the tighter sections of the track, or the what I call the second hairpin. That will rankle in the minds of some of the teams and the drivers there. Benoit there trying to get around this man, Martin Lawrence, who's then trying to get around Svinček. Very close battle between these two. It's actually going to be contact between Svinček and Lawrence. These two will have raced each other for years at this point. And a sliding, grinding pass by Martin Lawrence, but pass getting done. And what of Harwood? Can they get by Svinček here?
That was the beauty of GT4 racing right there. And then it's just basically we have McLaughlin getting into that little battle there with almost going 3 wide into the hairpin, and Hard was going to try and stick it around the outside and just maintain his position there on the exit. Seems like he has it done for now, but he has Svinček to deal with in front of him as well, so that is going to be quite difficult indeed. And I think here we might see Bordet trying something on Amir Thacker, but it looks like Amir Thacker just maintains the position. Oh, a little bit of a tap actually. But Thacker catches the car. Well done to him, and he maintains his P1 position. We see the 202 in the background looking like he is going to get involved in this battle as well.
Well, here's the thing about Thacker. He's a winner now in RCI, so he's got that winner swagger. And he's like, oh, you're going to bump me after the spa that I had? Ain't happening, buddy. You ain't getting around that way. You're going to have to go around me, not through me. Excellent poise under immense pressure. Certainly I would have cracked by now or let them go. But Amir, nah, absolutely not happening today.
Speaking of someone who is not cracking. Yeah, we have Thiago Lima doing what he did last race, 2-second gap already. And yeah, he's just going to run away with it as it seems. And then we have McLaughlin and Hardwood. Hardwood up the inside of the Aston, making the move stick. And Thacker's getting into this battle as well. He's enough for a class, so he's going to try and be a bit more patient with these guys. But he has to be careful as well, because one little mishap is all it takes for Bordet to pounce onto him. And then he loses the class lead as it stands. So quite a good battle going on here between Hardwood and McLaughlin, but we'll have to see how this one pans out, as it seems like Hardwood has managed to get the gap he needs to maintain his position. But obviously we know that Alpine on the straight line, not the greatest car, so the Aston Martin might be fighting back a little bit come the end of the long straight.
I have a theory here, and it might prove to be an unpopular one, but I think the Harwood-McLaughlin battle is holding up Thacker here a little bit in some of these corners. Whenever they get to fighting, McLaughlin and Harwood, I think it is holding up the 51. And, you know, that's part of racing, of course, but now they're spreading out a little bit, and that seems to now no longer be the case. But I can tell you, Bordet seems to have the pace, especially in Sector 3, to make up whatever time loss they have on the 51 and get back into that fight. So it is interesting to see the ebb and the flow of a lap around here. But just as I say that, look what's happening here. Thacker's making a move on the 7 of McLaughlin. Perhaps I was right the first time, Christian, and he was being held up.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a bit. I mean, you see there's a pretty big train behind them now, so this battle between Hardwood and McLaughlin has not been the greatest help for the silver drivers, but now Thacker has McLaughlin in between him and the other silver drivers, so he's going to be comfortable as it stands. With Bordet flashing his lights, showing himself in the mirrors there. I think it's a matter of time before he makes a pass. And here we have Rubilar on the back of Boardman. Boardman struggling a little bit there in that Camaro there, as it seems he's dropped off the pace of Beach here a little bit. But Rubilar, unlucky in race 1, getting spun around. Here he is, showing what he can do in that Audi, trying to potentially get a podium position by the end of this race.
That's the thing. Chris Rubilar had a terrible start to the race, not of his making, got spun in turn 2 and just had a miserable go of it. Well, all of a sudden, it is coming his way. It won't make up for race 1, but it will make you feel better, being able to prove that you can get the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, Martin Lawrence is absolutely on a charge, getting by Korea in the 977. He'll set his sights on his, I don't know if they're friends now I think about it, Martin Lawrence and Billy Octane. I wonder if they're friends.
I'd like to think they are. I assume they are, but we're not. We don't know. Maybe we'll see with the way they're driving alongside each other. If they're touching each other more than usual, they're probably friends. If not, then I guess they just respect each other.
What,
But
what was that exactly you just said?
hanging doors. Let's just put it that way.
Banging what now?
Doors. Okay. Anyways, this is getting a little bit on the adult side. Here we have Rubelar on Boardman, maybe trying to have a move up the inside in the final corner, not be able to make it happen. Trying to get a better exit here as well. It seems like he does make it get a better exit, but he's just a little bit too far away to make a move up the inside. He's gonna stick behind Boardman for now, as Boardman seems to have some pretty good glue at the back of his car, because it seems like he always has someone right up behind that Camaro.
Yes, indeed. The cork in the bottle seems to be the Camaros. They seem to beat you down the straightaway, but everywhere else, it's like sitting in rush hour traffic on the M1. Well, that is the life of a Camaro driver, I suppose. I don't know what that says about the brand, and certainly now I've ruined every brand deal we were going to have with Chevrolet after saying that. But, you know, McLaughlin here still in the middle of a high silver battle between the 51 and the 98, but at least it is kept civil, and some excellent passes back and forth from this group. And of course, this is also for a top 10 in class. Oh no! Look at that! Tom Bryant goes for a big spin for Triple R and hard into the barrier.
Yeah, that just looked like it was the Audi there and Tom Bryant getting together. It seems like, oh, does he get a little bit loose, or is it on the rejoin? Oh no, it's on the rejoin from the Audi.
Oh my! Now that is absolutely despicable, and you can't drive like that. I hate to say things like that, but you just can't. The proper thing is that you don't have the position. You have to back off. That is poor driving, I'm afraid.
Not really any other words to put it, but yeah, I think that was Verona there in the Audi. Now Joachim Schellgren getting past, goes a bit wide there. That's going to give him a warning. So hopefully he won't get any more of those. He still has half an hour to go, and I believe last race we had 2 drive-throughs of Wig and Svenček, so we'll probably see even more this race around. And just as I say that, Phil Roberts gets a drive-through penalty with 10 minutes into the race.
Oh dear, Phil Roberts not having the greatest sort of night here, and that is going to very much affect his race.
I just noticed Beecher got a drive-through as well. That's the number 46 of Beecher, currently in P2 with a 3-second gap, getting a drive-through, and that's going to put him down all the way down the field once he serves that penalty.
Christian, how's it possible that we're we're about 10 minutes into the race and people have already used up all of their track limits? Is that just aggressive driving, or is that just racing each other hard? How does that happen so quickly?
Well, I assume it's just the nature of Misano. It's quite a difficult track, and I just hear Mike Jones saying it's just the Misano effect. But yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's a difficult track to stay within the limits, as you have very fast right-hand corners. We just see McLaughlin going through it there. It's so easy to run wide here and pick up a penalty. It's also really easy to run wide on the exits, especially in the last corner as well. And I think also the turn 4, I believe, running wide on the exit there is also super easy. And it's just the limits are pushed very hard, and sometimes you go over the limits and Beecher riding by himself, not even battling anyone. As Svenček picks up a drive-through as well. It's all happening here. And that is his second drive-through tonight. That is going to sting, that one.
It is all kicking off. Second place Beecher is going to have to come down pit lane to serve a drive-through that will promote Boardman up to second and Rubliar up into third place. What a recovery it would be for the 17 after the terrible race that he had after being punted in turn 1, or actually turn 2 of race 1, to get a podium. Well, drive-throughs coming in fast and heavy, and I think you absolutely nailed it, and Mike Jones whispered it in our ear as well. How do you get drive-throughs this quickly? Well, you take cars to Misano. The track limits are very strict here in certain places, and you put this many cars on the same skill level racing each other, it is bound to happen eventually, and we have seen 3 or 4 so far. The other drivers will have seen that, Christian, and I can only imagine, as we continue to watch the battle between Thacker and McLaughlin, that other teams, when they start seeing those come in, they will be a little bit more conscious of their own track limits after seeing so many people fall victim to it.
Yeah, I think also just track limits in general. Like when I get one track limit, oh, it's okay. I have one more to play with, and you get the second one's okay. I still have one more to play with. Then you get the third one, and then you don't really have a chance to, like you don't have a chance to really fight back and push yourself to limits anymore, as you only have one more warning until drive-through, and then sometimes you just run wide. A little mistake is all it takes. You don't even mean to make a drive-through, and it happens. And Sven coming into the pits now to serve his drive-through, that's going to drop him all the way down the field, put him probably behind all the Pro Class drivers, and that's going to be a difficult recovery drive for him.
There is no lonelier feeling than coming down pit road knowing you're the only one that needs to come down pit road. It's oh dear, it's such a desperate feeling. Dario,
that is not a drive-through though.
Oh yeah, he is going to park the car, as it turns out, realizing that there's no way back from this, and he will end his Thursday night here in Italy a little bit earlier than most.
That's a very unfortunate end there.
Well, Dario Barzaghi in chat apologizing for missing the race. He says pity for his championship hopes. But, well, Dario, I understand things do happen, but we do appreciate you participating, and we hope to see you back next week.
Yeah, and it just happens, and we've just seen today how quickly the championship can swing. With Beecher now getting a drive-through, he's going to score quite a minimal amount of points in last race as well. He didn't score any point, at least also minimum amount of points. So, and he was, I believe, P3 in the championship, maybe P2 if I might be mistaken. Though, don't quote me on that. So he's going to lose a lot of points just to show how easy it is for a championship to swing. And also in silver class, it's completely swung around because the current silver class leader, Shellgren, down there in P18, and that's not going to score him the points he needs to maintain that position.
Yeah, Shellgren here is having a bit of a struggle here at Misano. We're not used to seeing Shellgren struggle, but that is what appears to be happening today. Will be interesting to hear as the drive-through finishing for the 46. Bishir coming out of the pit lane. Oh, it's so agonizing, this pit lane, because here's pit out where the green lights are indicating the track is clear. And you enter off the final turn, and you exit into what is effectively turn 3. It's a 47-second pit lane delta. Even if you don't stop, that is very, very long and agonizing, and almost to the absolute back of the queue. As this race does continue between several drivers, there's going to be contact there between Thacker and Borodai, as position still with Amir Thacker, and very close racing in the background.
Yeah, that was very close indeed. And I wonder what's happened to Billy Octake and Martin Lawrence as they suddenly dropped down the field. They've had a contact.
I'm assuming contact, yeah.
As Amir Thacker is now P6 overall, and he's brilliant defending there from Borodai. There's a little bit of contact, but that's okay. They both kept it clean. I think we're going to see a replay now of what happens with Octane. And it seems like, yeah.
Oh, Martin Lawrence! Well, I was wondering if they were friends before. Well, I can guarantee you they're not friends now. Unfortunately, they're going to be spending some time together in the same chat later, so it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, no! It is at almost a spin right there. It is. That's Rasu.
Yeah, that was an amazing catch there from Rasu as he manages to keep the car pointing in the right
direction. How did he save that? Look at this.
Oh. That is some quick reactions from the Romanian driver, George Rasu. Also, Nice to catch that highlight. Shout out to Rozu. Hello, how are you doing? If he watches this back, I know he watches. He'll be happy to hear me commentating, as we're quite good friends outside the track. So nice to see him doing decently well in silver class. More taps
McLaughlin
happening.
with the contact there. Now, remember, McLaughlin was in between Thacker and Bourdais and now finds themselves behind the high silver podium. So something happened to the 7. We've heard reports that he's been driving aggressively. So I wonder if his aggression has caught him out. Is completely sideways there. Is the 33 of Billy Octane, as Octane is trying to make his way back up through the field after the spin.
Yeah, it's very hard driving now. It's all kicking off at the moment. We've had quite a lot of contact in the last 5 minutes, and a massive oversteer as well there from Billy Octane there in the Camaro. But yeah, it's currently 2-second gap to Amir Thacker and Bourdais, so he has a little bit of a breather now. Only 20 minutes left in the race, almost halfway through, and yeah, the battles are just getting hotter and hotter. It's been an absolutely amazing race to watch so far, and I can't wait to see what it has in store for us for the last half.
It's worth mentioning, and I will mention this, because Martin Lawrence is a classy driver, and after the contact, which was obviously incidental, Martin Lawrence parked his car on the outside runoff zone of the track and allowed Billy Octane to gain composure and continue on. Now, will that still be a license point penalty with the stewards later? Probably, but it probably will be a less harsh one for that. And Martin Lawrence, for Connection Loss Racing, he's a class act, just trying to run into the corner, got the braking zone wrong. Everybody's human, etc., and so forth.
Yeah, it just unfortunately happens sometimes. Sometimes you can be so focused on the car ahead, you miss your braking points, and then it's already too late to react. And it seems like that's what happened right there. But here we have Rubilar getting pressured by Correa behind him, and also potentially being able to fight against Boardman. Boardman maintaining a pretty good gap though, but it's still within a second, so 20 minutes to go. Who has saved their tires well enough, and who has also got the right tire pressures? It is difficult considering it's 11 degrees and the track's only going to get a little bit colder as we go on.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more slipping on the track, considering it is not very warm. And usually speaking, at least in RCI, people are used to, oh my goodness, the big slide, and it's going to end up in a spin. It's going to end up in contact. They're both going to take each other out. Butters and Rasu together, and it's going to come to blows and tears for the both of them.
That was a huge dive from Rosa. That was really unexpected. We're going to see a replay of it here. It seems like he just got it wrong under braking. Going to ride on board with him. See what happens. I think Sam Butters going a bit wide, and he just saw the opportunity. He was very far behind. Wonder what happened there. He just breaks into the corner. Yeah, he's way too late.
He just licked the stamp.
Yeah. I think actually maybe he got a bit oversteer on the throttle there, because it looked like he had the car under control. But that was very, very brave dive indeed, and it didn't work out in the end for him. That was...
well, Rasu will not be pleased by that one bit.
Good action to see though, as everything is happening in this race. I love GT4 racing. They always produce amazing races, sometimes much better than GT3. Even though it's a slower class of car, they're completely different to drive, and they're super fun to drive. I highly recommend anyone who hasn't driven GT4s yet to pick one up, send it around a few tracks, race some guys, and it's going to be a hell of an experience that you won't want to miss out on.
My favorite thing to do in a GT4, take it to the Nürburgring and just drive half of the track that you're used to having to brake for, drive half the track wide open. I love it. Absolutely love that feeling. It feels like you're going as fast as an F1 car around there, though you're very obviously not. You're doing 10-minute laps around the Nordschleife. But and ACC does such a good job of replicating what a GT4 is to drive. It's so hard to put into words, but it's so fun to throw a GT4 car around a track. And I think that's obviously we've got a gigantic grid for this season. I think that pretty much says it all. Martin Lawrence continuing to race in place, has Franken coming up behind him.
Yeah, it's Martin Lawrence obviously caught up in that incident earlier with Billy Octane and then Franken. P3 currently in class, getting chased by Floris Harsefort right here, who's also trying to gain some positions of the misfortunes of other drivers. I believe he started last in Pro Class. He's making up a few moves as well, potentially getting a top 10 finish here. And yeah, that Mercedes seems to be struggling a little bit this time around, but he has shown he has pace especially in Monza. I remember seeing him further up the field.
Rubliar has caught Boardman, by the way, the 69 and the 17. So I was complimenting Rubliar after having that disastrous race one, could potentially get a podium. Well, yeah, it still looks like that could be on, but it might actually be for second place here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it does also looks like Lima has sort of slowed down a little bit compared to Boardman. He's not really gapping them anymore as he was. I mean, it was like the same pace as last race, about 5/10 a second. 5/10 a second,
Well,
5/10 a minute. But
well,
now he seems to slow
Christian,
down a bit.
no need for Lima to waste more fuel than he needs to.
That is a good point, indeed. And here we have Beecher trying to make his way up the field, tapping the back of Rhodes. That was a bizarre incident right there. A little bit of a bonk, as I think Mike Jones has a bonk horn.
That was Mike Jones making. I do apologize for being unprofessional. Mike Jones making me lose it. He's adding his own commentary, which you can't hear over top of the commentary. He gave that a solid 10 out of 10 bonk on that one.
Yeah, it really helps bringing the racing alive here with the sound effects included as well. But here we have Billy Octane on McLaughlin. Only 4/10 separating these two drivers. Chevrolet versus Aston Martin, both V8s, but completely different version of V8 engines. I don't really know the difference. I just know one is a brute force American, the other one is tuned by a Mercedes at AMG, and I know the engineering is very different. But here we have it. Billy Octane slightly catching up to McLaughlin, as we have Bourdais as well in that battle, who has to look in his mirrors a little bit, as McLaughlin might be making a move on him sooner rather than later.
Well, McLaughlin, who was trying to overtake the silver leader earlier, found themselves behind the leading trio. Well, now it's a duo of leading high silver cars, and McLaughlin finds themselves on the back of that. But what will happen first? Will McLaughlin get by Bourdais again, or will Octane get by McLaughlin? And that is what you can expect there. This is the view from Bourdais, and now Amir Thacker's car. Looking back, the first set of headlights you see is Alexander Bourdais' 98, and that is the battle for the lead, even though it is about 3 seconds now. Thacker just sort of driving away just a little bit, about a tenth every lap or so, and that's only going to continue if McLaughlin starts pressuring Bourdais or if Octane gets involved as well. Thiago Lima leads by nearly 10 seconds over Boardman. Rubliar third in that fight for second, but now has fallen off the back of Boardman a little bit. Korea in the fourth place position, and here is Olaf Lefebvre trying to get by Herford Smith now for top 20.
Lefebvre having a little bit of a poor race this time around. It seems he was definitely further up the field last time around, I remember, as he was potentially fighting for a podium position in class, but here he is down in P21. I can't count that fast, but I think that's around P10 in class. It looks like it, maybe give or take, plus minus. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, he's closing up to Herford Smith in front of him. That Alpine also just looks so stable in the corners. I think if I was to drive this championship, I probably would pick that Alpine because it just looks so fun to drive.
I can say I would love to drive the Alpine, but its disadvantages that I've heard of for more talented drivers than myself would keep me from picking it, I'm afraid. But hats off to anybody who is talented enough to drive that car and extrude the best out of it. And certainly, of course, Harwood, for instance, in the top 5 overall with an Alpine.
Yeah, I mean, we're saying that with the Alpine. Oh, just a drive through there for Verona and for Aprilia. But yeah, Amir Thacker is catching up to Hardwood. It seems like he's lapping faster than Hardwood, so that could be a potential good battle. Speaking of good battles, Billy Octane, McLaughlin, and Correa, all of them basically going side by side here. This might end in tears, but it could also be okay, as we see Billy Octane up the inside, gonna brake later. Is he gonna collect Correa? No, he doesn't, as McLaughlin just shoots it off the road, giving him all the space he needs. And somehow all the drivers survive through that, and Octane gets past McLaughlin.
Well, that's about as good as it could have possibly gone when they went down the back straight. That's not a straight. It looked like it could very well end very poorly, but it does not. And a very fantastic driving job by several of these teams. Now, Korea now trying to get back. Now something's happened to Korea because they were fourth a moment ago.
Oh yeah, good catch. I was thinking something. I wasn't quite sure, but yeah, you see Borday going quite wide there, and Korea doesn't think of it and takes a position. So he's got Borday between him and Octane now. But we just heard from Mike Jones. It doesn't sound like there was any incidents. It might have just been a spin on his own. That could have been a case of what happened, or he had to. Yeah, he had a 154 lap, so that is definitely about 12 seconds slower than what around. But we'll have to see next time with McLaughlin trying to get a better exit than the Camaro. It seems like he does actually, but it's a bit too far behind to do anything about it right now.
I feel like this entire race has been Lori McLaughlin just trying to get around somebody, and it's been a difficult day for the 7, the Gray Space Racing team. But they have soldiered on inside the top 10, mind you. And by the way, of course, Thacker is around Korea now. Thacker in the top 5 overall, leading the second race in a row here at Misano. Amir's not going to want to leave.
Now he must be I can't imagine what his nerves are. He's on his way to get a second win in RCI. And he's also on his way to pass a pro driver who has shown that he has immense pace. So this Amir Thacker out of nowhere, I think it's just clicked for him, and he has shown what an amazing drive he can have on the day if he's put the practice in and if he's ready to take the fight to the rest of the silver drivers.
I love his mentality. If you go back to Spa, you go back to his VODs, you watch Spa, he told his chat, I am just trying not to make anybody mad and turn laps and finish the race. I don't have any real expectations other than I just want to race. And then last week at Monza, it was I don't want to get involved in an incident. I just want to see if I can't have a good finish after the disaster that was Spa, none of which was his making, mind you. And he did. He finished 5th and 6th. And the confidence will come with time. You get comfortable, and this is the problem. What did I say at the end of race 1? Sometimes getting that first win is the hardest one, and then all of a sudden you start winning more and more. Case in point, what you could be seeing today. But I guarantee you, as he's going to have to go off, I feel like a little bit of misjudgment in the dark there, but also perhaps distracted by Harwood. He is trying to take 4th place overall. Meanwhile, back in the pack, Bourdais, Octane, and McLaughlin all fighting over 7th place here. Now, this will not give them more points, but Octane and McLaughlin have to get around him to get to Korea.
Yeah, and it looks like they're pretty desperate to get around. Octane trying up the inside in the final corner there. Doesn't make it stick, but now drag race to turn 1. Bourdais is going to have the inside. Octane gets a little bit close under exit there. A little bit of a love tap. Says hello.
McLaughlin's going to go off.
And as you said right there, McLaughlin goes off. He's probably a bit distracted by that. That was yeah, there you see the tap there. Obviously, Bourdais catches it. McLaughlin just off the road. He was probably enjoying that battle a bit too much for his own good. But the positions stay as they are or remain as they are right now. But Octane definitely looking like he has a little bit more pace than Bourdais, and I think he's going to be one to get past as quick as possible, as he has a potential chance of getting Korea by the end of the race.
Yeah, I just feel like every time McLaughlin gets close to another car, they hedge their bets and they try a move. As the lights flashing for Billy Octane on Bourdais saying, come on, man, you're in a different class. Let me have it. Keep in mind the rules of RCI. You're not required to pull over and let a different class by, even though silver is considered to be a slower class. They're in equal machinery, and it is very obvious, and it is written to these drivers and teams. It's made obvious that you are allowed to race if you are on the same lap regardless. So that is the way it is. But Bourdais heeding the flashing of the lights there, perhaps taking the wide angle and allowing them to go by. And by the way, we haven't talked about Martin Lawrence in a while. He's back.
Yeah, he's made his way past McLaughlin. That was one way to announce him back to the stream. As we have Mike Jones giggling in the background here. We have Rubelar. Potentially, I can't talk. Mike, please.
Half of the comms that I do is trying to get the broadcaster to lose it. Ladies and gentlemen, mark it down. On June the 17th, 2021, I made Mike Jones lose it.
I'm telling you.
We have fun here at RCI, folks at home. Could you not tell?
It is always good fun commentating here. And we have Mike Jones just saying tit for tat. And I'm telling you, trying to broadcast while you have Mike Jones laughing in your ears and saying bonk all the time is just... I don't know. I can't, Jesse, take it from here.
Yeah, it's fine. Just another bonk there. That's not new for Mike. He's always done that. He's actually got, I don't know who started that, him or Nick Setnick, but Nick Setnick does the same thing, and it absolutely cracks me up. Absolutely losing it here in the comms box, but nobody losing it out on the racetrack as the contest is only hotting up. Aaron Jackson, though, taken out of the action in the 99 Audi, as they have been the most recent recipient of a drive-through for track limit warnings. Meanwhile, this battle has reheated after about 15 minutes where it had cooled off. Boardman and Rubli are again going at it for second.
Yeah, it's Rubila really putting pressure on Boardman now. There was a bit of a, I think about 20 minutes in the race where they weren't really fighting each other, but it looks like Rubila has paid a bit more attention to his tires, saved them a bit better than the Camaro in front of him, and he is now putting that pressure on. Although I have heard that Audi is pretty poor in tire wear, so we have to see if that's actually true or not, or if Rubila just found more pace than Boardman has currently. And you see weaving Oliver behind him, Boardman trying to lose Rubelar, trying to set him off his line. There's just nothing he could do. So Rubelar just applying the pressure over and over again, and I think this is about to watch to the end. This is going to be interesting stuff. You see a little bit of dirt getting kicked up there by the 421 there in front of him. That he's about to get lapped by these two drivers.
Yes, indeed. I thought for a second there, I was like, there's no way that is Lima, and it isn't. But this is Lima for Phoenix Racing Portugal, Sim-101. I know a couple of Portuguese racing drivers myself, both Random Call Sign and the man they call Tortellini will be cheering for Lima, no doubt. And what a fantastic display. Very quickly, I can't understate how dominant this has been as Chris Rubliart continues around the lap car and continues his fight on Boardman. I can't understate how unprecedented this is in RCI. A man is going to go, barring some major malfunction, 6 for 6 to start a championship 3 weeks in a row, 6 races, undefeated and borderline, in my opinion, unchallenged, as drama has once again creeped in for Beach here in the 46 drive-through penalty for track limits violations.
Yeah, so that would be 8 warnings now around Misano, and that is the second drive-through this race. That is really unfortunate for him, and I think that is his challenge today in Misano pretty much over as it stands. But here we're still in this battle of Rubelar and Boardman. You see Rubelar just trying to push Boardman through the corners, and as soon as they come to the straights, that Chevrolet is just losing him in the distance, and it's going to be really difficult to overtake if that's the case, because your best overtaking opportunity is generally into corner after a long straight, and if the car in front of you is faster than you, it is difficult to do indeed. But you can always try and shake them up in the corners, especially with the Camaros. It does like to have a big amount of oversteer on the exit, so we'll see what Rubelar is able to do with only 3 minutes remaining now in the race, plus another lap if it looks like Lima is actually going to, with his pace, do 3 more laps, including this one. So we'll have to see what happens there. Let's go back to this battle as Bourdais trying to challenge McLaughlin.
Yeah, a couple of laps ago, Billy Octane, Martin Lawrence, and Lowry McLaughlin all got around Alexander Bourdais and put him back into the 10th place position. But that all being said, however, they are all still relatively close together and fighting amongst themselves. What do you think about Bourdais' day? Do you think he's going to be frustrated? I feel like he was one of the few that could have challenged Thacker today, and just didn't necessarily have the chances. If you're Borodai, are you a little bit frustrated leaving Misano?
I think he would definitely be frustrated with race 1 and maybe also race 2 as Thacker got past him and he was just trying to challenge Thacker, but he wasn't able to do it. And then suddenly a group of pro class drivers came up to him and he just sort of had to let them all pass. But I think he'll be frustrated with race 1, and I think probably around neutral for race 2 as Beecher serves his drive-through penalty. We hear a Pimlot on the back of Harsefort. Is he able to do anything into turn 1? Just lucky he's able to do anything just yet, but Harsefort's maintaining that P12 position, even though a few pro drivers have hadn't drive-throughs or had to retire for unforeseen reasons. But yeah, it's been a good race for him so far. We're back to McLaughlin and the battle with Borodai. As a Borodai, I think he is slowly but surely giving up on his chance to get P1. However, anything can happen. Thacker can still get a drive-through penalty, as it is Misano, but I'm sure Thacker will be doing everything now to try and maintain his lead in class.
I'm blown away. I can't say enough about Thiago Lima going 6 for 6. I can't say enough about the job that he's done. I can't say enough about this guy either, Amir Thacker. Just absolutely, I wouldn't say dominant, but it is dominant. He has survived in the first race and pulled a gap, and he's done the same thing here. He has been put in difficult situations by pro drivers, and he has come out on the other side, the victor of a lot of those battles. He's even driven around pro drivers. He's inside the top 5. He's gonna sweep the high silver races here. He's gonna put his name in the ring for the championship in about a month's time. It's just there's not a whole lot that you can say that hasn't already been said. Amir Thacker on the warpath here, and it will be interesting to see if this carries over. He's gotten better every week. He's going to end up being a 2-time RCI winner after today, and going into round 4 with 2 races, of course. It will be very interesting to see how the 51 does. Well, this is Thiago Lima, and what a record that he may be setting this season. He's going to go that 6 for 6 3 weekends in a row. He has dominated every single race. It's not good enough that he's won every single race, Lima. He has dominated every single race.
Yeah, I can't think of anything like this happening on our side. The only driver this reminds me of is, I don't know if you remember Alexander Karsten in the league I run. He used to drive like this, and he was obviously a very fast driver. But Lima absolutely dominating yet again. I have no words for this. This is just absolutely amazing stuff we're seeing, and he must be absolutely thrilled with himself as well, as he's rounding the penultimate corner. Only got one more corner to go. Tight left-hander, still sending it into the corner. He's not taking any whatever. He's flashing his lights. He's happy. He is crossing the line, taking P1 in the second race here at Misano. And that is absolutely dominating performance. 13 seconds gap to Boardman, as Boardman is only just about now coming towards the finish line, getting closely chased by Rubler. I think Boardman's going to stay ahead, though. It does look like he does. But here we have Amir Thacker getting chased by Correa, also crossing the line, and is able to take P1 yet again in race 2. So that is back-to-back wins for Amir Thacker. He must be super thrilled. I'm pretty sure he's jumping out of his chair right now, if you can tell us what's happening on stream there, Jesse. But that has been an amazing drive for him. Bourdais in P2 in class, down there in P10, and the rest of the drivers just rounding the final corners now, trying to come across the line. And that has been an absolutely amazing race from Thacker and Thiago Lima. Let's not forget about Lima, as he has done what basically no other driver can do in this series.
Could we be witnessing history here at RCI? You'll have to tune in next week and continue to find out with us. Thiago Lima is perfect through 3 rounds of the RCI GT4 Championship. Boardman second, Rubliar the finishing podium spot in pro. Amir Thacker goes 2 for 2 as well, and sweeps the Misano round, putting his name back in the championship conversation. Borodai second in silver, and Franken third is the high silver podium. And here, your results confirmed. Lima, Boardman, Rubliar, Harwood, Thacker, Correa, Octane, and on back. Lawrence, McLaughlin, Borodai, Franken, Harsvord, Pimlott, Butters, Rossu, Jelgren, LaFay, Beecher, Hufford Smith, Bryant Wig, Verona, Roberts, Jackson Gleason, Taylor, Opera, Svinchek, Dauber, Grabau, and Palma are the 31 drivers that I have for race 2. And those are your results confirmed. Everybody take a breath. That was very close racing indeed. And certainly, I think the thing we all have to talk about here, there certainly will be penalties after today as well. So those results, could, while they are confirmed, well, they definitely might change, especially with race 1.
Yeah, and the stewards are going to be working again after this race, and it's always fun being a steward, to be honest. I think if you're interested in it, I think you always give it a go, because I do stewarding, not for RCI, but I do for another league, and it's always really good fun. It's a great way to spend your afternoon looking at drivers crashing into each other. It's really good fun. Anyways, what a race that was. Both races, absolutely amazing. Misano producing brilliant stuff yet again. We're done with Italy now, though, as I believe next week. I'm going to quickly try and pull up the calendar, see what the race is next week. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And it's Brands Hatch, so they're going from Italy to England. And I think Brands Hatch is going to be another thriller, considering the nature of that track, as it's quite a short track, and also a track that overtake is not exactly known to happen. So we might see a few GT4 drivers trying to make the moves in places where they shouldn't, and potentially pulling it off or potential contact. So we'll have to see what happens then.
Well, don't miss a single race. Like and subscribe, hit the bell. We'll be back with you tomorrow for the GT3 World Championship. And of course, the special event this Saturday, the final round of the GT3 Endurance World Championship, 10 hour of Suzuka. I'll be there. Christian will be there. Mike Jones will be there as well in several different capacities, and as well as the usual host, as you might find on a weekly basis here. Come hang out with us, and we hope that you enjoy it. And of course, there will be a championship battle that will play out in that 10-hour race. And of course, the Monday European GT Championship continuing on Monday, and as well. So, and of course, next Thursday, we're right back here with you, likely Ryan Mawson and Christian in the box for that one, for round 4 of the GT4 Championship. It was a fantastic race. It had pretty much everything you needed to have a good race. Excellent passing, drama, penalties, late race passes, of course, and some very dominating performances by some of the group. Congratulations to all the winners today, and we will see you next time here on RCI. One final time, a big thank you to all of our partners here at RCI. More information about all of them in the description, and we thank them very much for all of their support here. Well, Christian, gotta see it for next week. Gotta be here, and certainly I'll be watching. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, Jesse. And I just want to thank the chat as well. It's been great to everyone who's been watching along. And also thank you for Mike Jones for broadcasting this and giving us a few laughs in the middle there as well. And yeah, that's I'll be here on Saturday, I believe, or is it Sunday? I can't remember, for the 10-hour race. And
It's Saturday.
Saturday, okay. I have a really busy schedule right now, so I have to just quickly remember off the top of my head. But anyway, Saturday for the 10-hour race, I'll be commentating with both Jesse and Ryan Mawson, who's also my co-commentator today. Sorry, not today, but generally in this GT4 championship. And that's me signing off. Thank you very much, Jesse. And yeah, hope to see everyone again next week.
On behalf of everybody here at RCI, we thank you for watching. On behalf of myself, Jesse Lee, Christian Stricker, and our broadcaster, Mr. Mike Jones, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you this weekend for the 10-hour at Suzuka. Have a good night.